Alright, so the first thing you need is the starting point. For this I'll be using a wooden pole. Then we set 2 small beams on top of it, another set of small poles, another set of small beams, and another set of small poles. Then we start with the actual slide. We'll be using wooden beams 26 degrees, beams. And this in essence is the general layout of the slide. We repeat the same process and we need some foundation. For this I'll be using log pole. And this is it. My personal advice is to have a foundational piece on every 2 pieces of wooden beam, and to place the next foundation piece I'll be doing it this way. I'll place 2 beams, then I'll place support which is attached to the previous wooden beam. I keep saying beam instead of beam. And for everything to work smoothly, we need to raise the ground here. I'm using a mullet hole, but in theory you can use a regular runner. I think this should be enough. These pieces were mainly used for reference, so I'm removing them and I'm starting the next set. It's exactly the same layout. My personal suggestion is to have at least 5 meters of straight down sliding before you start making any turns. So we'll continue on. And you see the pieces connected. Oh, I forgot the secondary part. Here I'll show you another piece. This will be the anchoring point. This will allow you to place the boat in the center of this slide, so let me demonstrate. Nudge the direction, press shift and aim for the middle of the small beam. And voila. It goes nowhere. So the next thing I'll do is make the actual, let's call it harbor. It's generally the same layout. You can actually make it longer, but there's absolutely no need, as half of the boat will be right over here. So, how do we make the turn? Well, it's actually quite easy, but before this, I'll add a bit more length. First, let's find the anchoring point. Not anchoring point, but where the next set will be. Here is a bit of a tricky part because it's quite high already. I'm using this little dirty trick just to find the location where I need to raise the ground. You can remove these pieces, you can leave them, it's all up to you, they serve no purpose. Keep in mind that the longer the straight line is, the more speed the boat will generate, and if the boat goes way too fast, it will be a bit trickier to make proper turns and to make them consistent. And I suggest that you test a lot, because as I've mentioned in my comments about it, the game is not developed with this in mind, so this is highly unstable and requires quite a lot of testing. And we need to often reassure that the slide is working properly. Alright, it's time to make our first turn. For this, I'll be using, again, wooden beam. First off, we'll place 26 degrees, and because I want to make a right turn, I'll rotate it slightly to the right. Always, when you make a turn, use the inner beam for reference point, and because I'm going in this direction, I'll use this. This will be my inner beam. So I rotate it slightly. Then I place a small pole, and perpendicular to it I place a long beam, and this part of the beam is where all the support should be. And for this you can use 45 degrees, you can use any type. I personally suggest that every piece of the turn has a proper support, especially if it is higher above the ground, like the current situation. So next thing, we want a vertical pole, then again a long horizontal beam, another vertical pole. And next thing, we need to place the wooden beams which will direct the ship in the direction we want it to go. And I place two here and two here, and this should be sufficient, and one more here. This will overlap with the current track, and this should be sufficient to make the ship turn, but there is a bit of a catch. We need to remove several pieces from here. I usually remove at least two, because when the ship starts to turn, it will hit this part of the slide. And I remove it entirely so it doesn't strain the rest of the track, and of course we test. I try to place it in the center of the anchor point. And it's changed direction. Quite often I remove more pieces. From the inner part of the slide and make it inclined in this direction. So we add the next piece. Again, make it parallel to the rest of the track, then rotate it one time in the direction I want to turn. Then I place a small pole, a long beam perpendicular to it, and then I need support. And now I'll try to reach the ground as fast as possible before the game discovers that it doesn't have proper support. And then I need to raise the ground. And a bit of OCD, I always remove these unnecessary pieces. And I'll start raising the ground. And this should be it. And again, we'll continue on with another long pole, 2 meters to be precise, another 2 meter beam, and another 2 meter pole. And repeat the exact same process. We'll get the inclined beams, make sure they're parallel to the first one, and place 2 and another 2. Keep in mind that, as mentioned before, the game is not supposed to be played like this, and this whole system is a bit janky and needs a lot of fine-tuning, testing and so on. So don't be alarmed if it doesn't work on the first try, or one time it works, another time it doesn't, one time it slides perfectly, another time it goes haywire. It's absolutely normal. I usually take at least 10 to 50 times, 50, not 15, to record a video, yeah. You see, this one went a bit worse, and what I usually do is try to figure out which part is the problem, and sometimes I might need to remove some piece. For instance, sometimes I remove this part of the turn, the first. Let's try it. And make this one a bit longer. Let's see how it behaves. Worse. Yeah, this will happen. You see, now it went better. Something you need to consider when making turns is where are you going, because if you turn too much, you smash into the mountainside. So keep this in mind. What I usually do is, while I'm making the turn, I try to see where this is heading. And you see, this is heading into this mountainside, but as you can see, I'll have enough space to accelerate after the turn. Usually you need some straight, after every turn you need some straight piece so the ship can accelerate again if you want to make a zigzag. Because if you make the turns one after another, I mean left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn, the ship will will lose momentum and will start glitching, getting stuck on everything, and so you need to have some space between turns. So here again I'm adding support. Not the prettiest, but as the beloved CEO of Bethesda says, it works. Again, we need to make sure that this is going in the right direction. And we test. Keep in mind that there are multiple factors that affect how the boat goes on the slide, and wind is one of them. And strong winds can really upset the boat's behavior. So next thing, we'll need to connect it to another straight piece. So for a while the slide will go in this direction. So we add another piece to the inner part, and we'll continue on building a regular straight piece. This will be the support piece, and we made it. Again, we need to raise the ground here, because otherwise it won't survive. And so we continue with the straight piece. Small piece, another small piece of wool, another small beam. But keep in mind that this rail, if we place it here, the ship will most certainly get stuck. So we'll skip it for the first section of the track. But on the outer side, we'll continue on as normal. Next thing is how to determine the next support piece, because as mentioned earlier, we need to have support on every two pieces on the slide. And so we'll check if we're going in the right direction, and again, support. I'm clicking this fast so the whole system can touch the ground and add more support. And I need to determine where is the place I need to raise ground. And here it is. So again, I'll have a look and see. As mentioned before, I suggest having at least 5 pieces after a turn, so the boat can go smoothly and gain momentum for the next turn. So we continue as usual. 2 small beams, 2 small poles on each piece of the slide. And again, 2 small poles, and we'll start connecting them. I'll not be in a hurry to make the inner section. I'll start here because, as mentioned earlier, the bolt needs some space to make the turn. Because if I make it here, the bolt might not have enough room to slide into the next section. Thank you, World Save, for the lag. And to make the entrance a bit easier, we rotate outwards a bit here. And we test. And as you see, the bolt successfully entered the second section. So here's something really important. If you've been watching closely my videos, you might have noticed that most builds have a central, I call it, rail. From here on, I'll add it to the slides. The purpose it serves is makes the bolt go easier and smoother. I'll finish it with a horizontal beam. The downside is that the bolt might slide sideways. Here, because it's perfectly placed parallel to the rest of the track, there is absolutely no issue to have only two beams, two rails. I call these rails. But after the turn, the bolt movement is a bit random. So to avoid the bolt going, let's say, like this, and not parallel to the track. If there are only two rails, the bolt will get stuck. But if there are three, the bolt will slide downwards. And the next turn will force its movement in the direction we want it to. Here, it is best to gain momentum in the direction we want to. From here on out, the turns will force the bolt to go in one direction or another.
Let's continue on testing. As you can probably tell, the bolt goes a bit smoother when there are three rails. So I think this should be enough length before I start the next turn. Okay. One section now. First, and the next 4 points. And then we start building. So, in order not to crash into the mountain, we start turning again. It's absolutely the same procedure as before. I want to make a left turn this time, so I place it parallel to the rest of the track and rotate one time. Then place a small pole and a long beam. And then I need support. Who doesn't? And before finishing this one, I'll add the next section. I usually work it this way, so if you want, you can follow the way I'm building. You can complete the turn if you prefer to. Your game, your choice. Again, 1 2-meter pole, 2-meter beam, and another 2-meter pole. And we make the railings, 3 for the first one, 2 for the top. And then we'll continue with the next section. It is good to be perpendicular and in the same direction as the rest of the segment. And we'll continue enjoying the relaxing music of Valheim. I'm annoying with my voice. For this one, I want to make a complete turn, so I'll continue on. It's absolutely the same way. If you master this, you can make your own boat slide from now. Or cars, at least. For the launcher, I'll hopefully prepare the later. What I'm doing here is making sure that the whole segment is in line. So the next step will be to test how this works. As I mentioned, we need to remove this inner piece before, because it will make the boat stick. The boat needs some room to make the turn. Looks good. I'll make a second test just to make sure. Alright. Go on with the turn. Whoopsie. That's not in line. Let's make it. And we'll place the long beam. And we'll give it some support. I know I don't have the best voice, so I'll not be babbling all the time. Hopefully now we get how it works, and you can see how I'm going on the valley. Okay, this is the point that needs support. And no, it needs push around. And as you can see, we start using support, but we know where we need to start raising the ground. And this should be enough. Next segment. And this is time to make the eye test, which means I want to see which direction I'm going. So I think this is enough for now, because, let me demonstrate, if I make another turn, I won't have enough room. Oh, why? It depends. If you can see, if I turn, this will get me in this direction. If this is your goal, okay, go for it. So, I'll make another set of turns. And support. While you're in the winter biome, you can use a little trick to determine where your support must be. If you go like this, you can see that it gets peering from the snow. This means that there is something above it. And which usually means that this is a good place to start. But since we're not that low, I can just start raising the ground here. I think I missed. I made a mistake. The good thing is it's not that much. I'm fine. Okay, time to test. For some reason, I always prefer when testing to have the boat facing straight forward. This way, I want to make sure that when I make the test with me inside the boat, or I want to record the video, that it will go the same way. And as you can see, it seems to be working, but Houston won't have a problem. As you can see, the turn isn't perfectly in line with the rest of the track, which, being a perfectionist, means that I'll delete this section. This shouldn't set us back too much. So again, I'll make sure that it's connected to the rest, turn it once. Next segment. after this one, I'll continue on with the regular section. And again, I believe this is where the raised ground should be. As you can probably already tell, I'm just getting the anchor points. Yeah. Maybe some name where the foundation should be. And I'll explain why I'm doing this a little later, because most of the time I'm using a building mod to do this, which lets me make a blueprint. Meaning I get several building pieces, and I create blueprints with them, which allows me to work really faster than what you can see at the moment. And of course, I forgot to do the wall. And this is the place where I end the middle rail, or start depending on your perspective. And we'll make another piece which faces inwards. And let's see how it goes. What I've made so far. Well, I'd say this one was really smooth. Let's try again. Guys, I think we're good.
So far we've sent our boat on some great adventures, but there is one problem: we're not in it. And since I'm playing always single player, what I usually do is add some barrier that will stop the boat from going, which I can easily destroy it when I'm on top of the boat. What we usually need to do is determine the horizontal plane the boat is sitting at. Not the greatest tool. And we need to add some barrier that will prevent the boat from going without us. And for this, I'll use a little trick. I'm placing this round log beam, and this will require some foundation. Let's remove the extra pieces, and let's see if this works. There are several requirements for the stopping barrier, and the main is to stop the boat, of course. Next. And the next important thing is to see if I'll be able to destroy it when on the boat. And here, with much less criteria. And the next part is to ride the boat. And as you can see, here we get the first problem, because the weight of the player offsets the way the boat travels. And here, the reason is the wind, believe it or not. Since all of this is in creative mode, what I usually do in this situation is just to stop the wind. And then again, I place the barrier. The boat. And try again. And as you can see, this time it works. And both of these can be easily replaced. Here's the barrier, and here's the boat. And I can continue working on the slide.